I'm Oonagh Taeger. I'm a homeopath, and I'm here with my good friend Sharmila Molly, Sharmila is an intuitive consultant and mentor, and she works with people called to be healers to help them find their unique healing gifts. She's a Reiki master and teacher and an Akashic Records reader, and very talented one, I can say. So Sharmila is here today to talk about homeopathic journeying. This is a special method that I employ in my practice to take people deeper into their experience and allow the spirit to create the needed healing experience. Gives me a lot of vision into what the person needs in terms of remedies, but is also an important part of the healing process. So thanks for coming to to demonstrate this with me today, Sharmila.
You're welcome. I'm excited. Excited to experience it and what you do. I was very curious when I met you because homeopathy has a certain way of practice, a way of being practiced.
Yeah.
And so when I met you and you talked about the way you work, I was very intrigued. So I'm excited to experience that. And I wanted to ask you, if I may,
yes,
like the difference between your approach, which you created like a new paradigm for yourself, and versus traditional homeopathy, because you use traditional homeopathy, but you also bring in your own intuitive guidance in it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a few things to say about that. One is that there are so many ways of practicing homeopathy. And I've got a video coming up about that I'm going to do with my friend Sadaf from India, another homeopath, because there's not just one way, but we can go to homeopaths who give us the idea that there's one way. In India, homeopathy is a really important healing modality used by a big percentage of the population, and not the majority, but still a very big percentage. And there's just so many techniques that have arisen and approaches that have arisen, and it would be easy to say, well, there's one right way, as a lot of people do maintain. And yet, there are people using very different approaches who are having tremendous success. And because it's the way that works for them, it's the way that resonates for them. So that's important to put out there. Now, that being said, there is a standard of classical homeopathy that is commonly used in the UK, Germany, a lot of homeopaths in the US are classically trained, and that means different things to different people. There are some people who will say only the remedies created by Hanuman are classical, and everything that developed since then is not, because it's not part of his original teaching. That's on the extreme, kind of I think that's kind of the fanatical extreme of the definition of classical, with apologies to people who adhere to that belief. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that is one end of the spectrum. And then the other end is, I guess I'm probably near the other end, because I'm deeply trained and immersed in classical homeopathy. I trained at the College of Homeopathy in the UK. Some people know that as Misha Norland's school, now Hassan Mani Norland's school. It's really a beautiful tradition, and very much in tune with how a lot of homeopathy is practiced in the UK and Ireland. And I still use everything that I learned there. And then I went on and did a lot of studying with Indian homeopaths, also from that same tradition, in like right in sync with Misha Norland. And my main teacher there was Rajan Sankaran, who developed what is called the sensation method. And this is a really big advance, because he started taking people, he started using more meditative processes to take people into their experience so that you could understand at a very deep level. And he found, and I really also have found, that that led to more accurate prescribing. Because, you know, one of the main issues in homeopathy is really in the individualization of the remedy. Like a lot of success hinges on how deep you can go with that person and how well you can match the remedy. So he really took classical homeopathy to deeper levels. And now some people will say that nothing he did is classical, and yet many classical homeopaths are very happy with his sensation method and his work. So I've incorporated that. And then a step beyond, his colleague J.S. Shah, also in Mumbai, India, who was co-developer of the sensation method and Rajan's best friend, actually. They really co-created a lot. J.S. Shah studied a lot of energy medicine all over the world, and hypnotherapy, and he started to incorporate, like, kind of go a step further from the sensation method and use some of these energetic practices that he learned. And he is the developer of homeopathic journeying, or as he calls it, vital force journeying. And I studied that with him. And now my style of homeopathic journeying is just, you know, what happened when I incorporated that, and it became my own thing, because no two people are really gonna be able to do that in the same way. You have to make it your own. But I did really get that from Jayesh. Now, so it's classical, and it's a deepening, and also, you know, there's something else has come into my work that's even more off the classical track, which a lot of homeopaths don't even accept yet, but some are embracing, and that is the work of Peter Chappell and his source resonances. And that's got to be a whole separate video, because those are different from normal homeopathy, but they're very complementary, and they're deep acting, they're profound remedies, and it's just a whole new evolution. And he's doing amazing work, making, you know, like, he's been very successful with infectious disease in Africa, which is how he started out creating these. So that's for another day. Back to the journeying, which I think it might be what got you intrigued.
Yes.
So did I answer your question, or like, is there more to your question?
Yeah, you did. No, that was actually, that was really good, because I've only had really one interaction with a homeopathist.
You can say that. You can say homeopath or homeopathist.
And it was, you know, very traditional in the sense of how you would go to a medical doctor.
Yes.
You know, present a problem, they ask you questions, blah, blah, blah. Here's a couple of remedies. Here's how you take it. And what intrigued me about you was that the Peter Chappell remedies, which is a whole nother video.
We'll do that another day, because it's great.
And also the way you approach it, and which I think is very, has a lot of spiritual aspects, and that's what's important to you. And also spiritual in the sense of really finding the root cause, not because, you know, there's always the environmental factor, there's, you know, what you're eating, but it's also why are you, you know, what is it in your life that is creating this illness or this dis-ease that you're feeling. And I think, you know, getting to the heart of the matter, to where you're on a soul level, on a spiritual level, is extremely valuable, because then you get to clear all that once and for all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think homeopathy has always been about working at that level, because it is energetic medicine, and it is working on the energy bodies at various levels, you know, through the different, you know, like 7 levels, or if you're using that model. But it's always been doing that. That's how the remedies work. But and yet it was developed by a German doctor in the 19th century, Samuel Hahnemann, and it was perpetuated by doctors. He trained other doctors, and they trained other doctors. And my teachers in India are also trained medical doctors. So homeopathy and medical practice were more closely allied in the past, and still are in some places. So the thing is, we had that medical, that kind of male, originally white, now less white, you know, that European medical paradigm is kind of like, you know, paternalistic, and I'm the doctor, I'm the expert. You know, I'm going to analyze all the things you're telling me, and then I'm going to prescribe the thing that matches that, and you're going to do what I say. And it's a little bit clinical. And my teacher, Misha Norland, my original teacher in England, he kind of was, he and his colleagues, and he was part of kind of that wave of homeopathic revival in the 70s. And they were very influenced by Eastern religion. It became very much a spiritual practice for them. And so they started to get a little more touchy-feely and less clinical. And yet, you know, it would still mostly be them listening to, like, if you went to one of those homeopaths, they you know, you would talk for an hour or more, and then they would kind of analyze. And there is that aspect to my work. You know, I do a lot of work behind the scenes, kind of thinking deeply about the case, the you know, going through all my notes. But however, you know, basically what I'm trying to say is, like, the package is changing, the container is changing of how we're holding the space for healing. And I think that that's becoming more enlightened, more more aware of our energetic and our therapeutic connection, more collaborative, less paternalistic, more intuitive. It always was very intuitive. That was always there, but they wouldn't say that. You know, the doctors wouldn't say that. They wouldn't think or talk about how much they were using intuition to connect the energy, because, you know, when you're understanding energy remedies, that is what you're doing. So it's become a much more whole, like, right and left brained practice. And another thing about the journeying is that when it's all about the remedy, you are completely dependent on finding the right remedy ASAP for that person. But when it's about the journey and the co-creative healing relationship, you've got a lot more going on, and you've got some very powerful tools that A, help you get to the remedy more easily, but B, can facilitate healing regardless of whether you can find, you know, the magic remedy. And so, you know, we have to make homeopathy not about, you know, a desperate search for the magic bullet remedy, because that's bullshit. We need really good, smart prescribing and really well-trained practitioners. But there's so much the possibility of when we come together to collaborate in a healing space, the potential is much greater than that.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I'm excited
Yeah.
to experience that. Yeah. I think it's definitely the model that you're presenting is very empowering for the client, for the patient.
That's my hope. That's definitely my intention.
And the collaboration between the remedy, you, and the client is just a beautiful synergistic, from what you're describing, a beautiful synergistic play that's happening. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That is
Supportive.
absolutely my intention. You kind of nailed it. So let's do you want, I gotta say, just to kind of as preamble, I have never done a journey you know, live on the air before. Fortunately, I did not advertise this, and we don't have any viewers currently, but I know that people are going to see it afterwards, and that is a little wild to me, because this is normally a very private and you know, it's normally just something between me and the client.
Yeah.
And you know, the information doesn't go any farther than that, and all of that stuff. So you have volunteered to just kind of jump in and see what happens. And of course, we've set very powerful intentions for the highest good experience for all concerned. And you know, I think that means that whatever comes out is going to be something that we feel good about putting on YouTube. And if it isn't, we'll edit or just not put the video up and chalk it up to experience. So I think let's just be in trust with our intentions. But this demonstration is a new experiment, so you viewers know.
Well, I also want to just acknowledge and give permission to for this adventure. And like, I know I understand that it usually is private, and I'm absolutely okay. That's why I'm doing it.
I feel that from you. I know, because it was your idea, which blew my mind. And I think that the thing is that, you know, oh, I'm getting chills thinking about this, what I'm about to say. The fact that others are going to be watching and participating, even if they're not on the air right now, which they're not, thank God. But that, you know, there is no time. So really, we have this potentially very large audience, and all of that energy is going to help catalyze something really special for your healing, and not only for your healing, but for those in the audience who are going to be able to use that to, you know, use the information, or just kind of, you who are watching this can follow along and gain from this what there is for you to gain. Leave what doesn't serve you, and feel free to accept and grow from whatever is useful to you in this. So we're doing something on a bigger scale than a private consult.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the excitement. Yeah.
I'm about to open my soul up. And I'm okay with that.
Well, you know, as my daughter likes to remind me, privacy is an illusion now. Yeah. So we're all one. Okay, so this is, and also I think I'm going to break this video into parts 1 and 2 so that there's digestible chunks. So this is going to be the wrap up of part 1, the preamble and the discussion, and now we're launching into part 2. Go to the next video if you want to see the journey, and be a part of the journey. So how we begin, Sharmila, is can you just talk to me a little about what you like to work on today? What's coming up for you and what would be helpful for you?
Could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what, so many to choose.
Go where the energy is today. Like what is raising its hand? What's jumping up and down? And just trust that. In fact, we can start that way too. You don't have to choose. And maybe this is part of maybe the choosing is part of the journey. I'm calling it, girl. But let's just go in and see what's happening, because I thought you might come to the table with something you're burning to work on, but no, we're gonna let your spirit choose, because this is somehow part of the process. I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes, get really comfortable, and settle into your inner space and allow yourself to just fully feel and notice whatever is happening inside of you. And we're going to stay connected through your journey. I'm going to ask you questions at times or make suggestions. And please feel free to communicate with me about what's happening without coming out of the space that you're in. And what are you experiencing right now?
I'm experiencing heaviness. And it's just related to my home situation.
Okay. So let's go. So the home situation is a situation, and the heaviness is the energy level of the situation. Let's turn our focus just to the energy level and not worry about the situation itself, because it's going to be more fruitful for us to go in and feel this energy and trust whatever is happening there. So my next direction to you is please put all of your attention on that feeling of heaviness. And just allow whatever happens with that, whatever comes to you. What are you experiencing now?
I'm experiencing this movement, and it's like moving my head around. It's like I can just feel all the tension I'm carrying.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like centered around my neck, and shoulders, which is like people where I store tension and stress, and I can just feel that.
Let yourself, yeah.
And I feel a tightness in my solar plexus area.
Okay. Let yourself focus on your solar plexus area and completely feel that tightness there, along with the tightness in your body, that tension. Just let yourself completely feel it. What are you experiencing now?
I'm feeling it release, and it's releasing in other parts of my body, like my neck and right shoulder. It's kind of like getting cranial sacral done. Kind of an unwinding.
Good, good. And what do you feel in your solar plexus? But I got confused. It was your sacrum or your solar plexus?
Solar plexus.
Yeah. What is happening now in your solar plexus?
It feels compacted, like there's a little box there. Oh, it's releasing. It's just like there's a core little box.
Put all of your focus on that little box in your solar plexus. Just see what happens with that.
Yeah, I feel like this burning sensation, like it's imploding in on itself.
Mm-hmm. Keep all of your attention on that burning sensation and that imploding in on itself, and just trust and allow whatever happens, whatever comes to you.
definitely releasing.
Hmm.
I can just feel it. It was making my torso straight, and it's like I want to like bend over backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had a yoga ball, I could easily do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that tension is gone there. Just feel like it's like dissipated, and
Nice. Do you still see the box that was there?
no.
Okay. What does that area look like to you now?
Like it's like an impression of where the box was, like this black, not in a bad way, but just like a space of where the box was.
Mm. Put all of your focus on that space. Whatever's happening in your solar plexus.
Well, just filled with like pink cream.
Keep
It's like foam, like somebody just injected like pink foam there.
all of your focus on that pink foam that's filling your space in your solar plexus. So just see what happens. Just trust. What's happening now?
Well, it's very interesting. So I started seeing a lot of yellow, like a web and light. And then I kind of saw this shadowy figure kind of hovering over like where the pink is, my solar plexus.
Yeah. Just keep
Just
all
like
of the. Yeah.
like something like it's like hovering and like protecting it.
Ah. Just keep all of your focus there with what's ever happening. It's the web of yellow light, the pink, and the figure who's hovering and protecting. What's happening now?
It's a lot. Lots happening. I just see this little tiny, this looks like a fairy, kind of like tapping on the shoulder, tapping on this like shadowy figure, coveting my where that pink is, the solar plexus, and
coveting. Can you explain that a little more so I'm sure
it's kind of like territorial. Like this is mine. Don't come near it.
Yeah.
This is not for everybody.
Yeah.
It feels completely self-entitled.
Just keep all of your focus with the fairy and the figure and what's happening there. In your energy, your solar plexus.
It's just like a deep, protective space. It's like I was seeing, like I was on a boat on a water. I had this feeling of something nefarious going on, and like something was going to be dumped there, and then all of a sudden I was underneath the water and seeing all the ferns, and that's when I saw the fairy like tapping on the shoulder of this figure, shadowy figure, like, come on, it's time to go, let go, let go, let go, let go. And this shadow is like, no, I belong here. This is mine.
And how are you feeling about the shadow?
I don't really think it belongs there anymore.
So keep all of your focus there with the fairy and the shadow and your solar plexus energy. Just trust whatever happens.
It's like something attached to me long ago. It came in with me in this lifetime, and it's very heavy.
Just keep your focus there. That heavy energy that came in with you, that attached long ago, doesn't really feel like it belongs there. Just trust whatever happens. And that fairy who's there, What's happening now?
There's some people that I know, one person that I don't know very well, and somebody that I do know very well, in this house in Upper Ojai that they both rented.
Mm-hmm.
That my friend rented after her. It's such a weird thing. It has to do with the bathroom. It was a separate bathroom outside of the main part of the house. It was like a warehouse, and the bathroom was a separate outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what this bathroom has to do with anything, but
Something.
something.
Is there a feeling about that bathroom?
I always thought it would be really cold in the winter to use the bathroom. And they both had kids, and I was like, oh man. And it was a nice bathroom,
Yeah.
but I just thought, this has got to be like really cold
Cold. Yeah.
to come out here. And like the door didn't have a lock.
Yeah.
And I'd always thought about, like, as a little kid, how unsafe that felt.
Yeah.
You have to leave the door open, but then you're in Upper Ojai where there's a lot more critters.
Yeah.
And then if there's other people in the house, they might walk in.
Yeah.
So you got the door that has to be open so that no one's in there.
Yeah.
And then when you close it, it's not locked. So there's no security.
Yeah. Put all of your focus on that feeling of no security. That unsafe feeling. Just trust what happens. What do you? Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like the no trust is like causing this like liberation. It's like kind of liberating.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Say, what are you feeling in your body right now, in your solar plexus?
I think just acknowledging that is very liberating and freeing and opening. And
Are you still aware of the dark figure and the fairy?
no, they're not there anymore. It's just like neutral. Like I don't even see, the only thing I see is like a tiny, oh, there's the fairy. That's what it is. It's just really small, just kind of hanging back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the shadow is just non-existent, that protective, overbearing,
Yeah.
entitled peace, entitled Piece,
Yes. Yeah.
is not there.
And what do you feel in your solar plexus area? What do you feel and see there in your energy?
It's like refreshing. It feels more open. And just liberated, free. Just like this like blob of like breathing, living flesh that's just, it's just like, you know, just like pulsating, like, okay, like this is,
yeah,
I guess how it's supposed to be, just expansive and living and breathing and
let yourself, yeah, let yourself fully experience that breathing and pulsating and liberation, that freedom.
I can do that in this chair with my headset.
What's happening?
Wow. This energy just like of, God, it was like this most amazing electric like blue, and it was like it was this like geometric shape with kind of like a diamond.
Uh-huh.
So it was an angle at the bottom, like an arrow at the bottom, like this, and then the
Uh-huh.
sides were
Straight? Parallel. So, like, yeah, straight sides, point at the bottom, point at the top.
And this amazing blue, and it was, as I was bent over and started slowly coming up, I could see that coming, and I was like, "Ooh, sacred geometry! I don't usually see that."
Wow.
And then it just started, as I started moving up, the energy just started changing, just started going into different colors, and
yeah,
it's like bing, 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 you know, just correlating with each chakra. So as I was like moving up, it was just, I can't remember what the colors were, but it was just changing, and then it was white, and then it was pink, and then it was yellow, and not in that order, but
yeah. Just remind me what shade of blue, what was the color like?
It was like this amazing, like electric blue, and it was like, it was thin. It wasn't like a thick, like, I want to say it almost reminded me of Metatron's cube, but it wasn't. It was like part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just this amazing color, because it was like, it was around, it was just black, so it was just like these blue, kind of like thin neon shapes, and that's what the shape was that.
That's amazing. That's great. Yeah.
It's like my energetic blueprint, literally blueprint.
Yes. So just let yourself really integrate this energy. Take your time. When you're ready, just come back to the room, so to speak. But no rush. I really want you to get to keep feeling this as part of you and as who you are, your energetic blueprint. Woo!
Whew. Wow.
Nice work.
Wow. That's unlike any, that is Oonagh's signature
Hmm.
homeopathic.
That's
Sure.
my homeopathic blueprint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at first I was like, oh, maybe we could do like the bone structure of my right arm and stemming from an accident, which is just having issues now from working and 20 years later. But and then when you asked me, I was like, oh, I don't know.
I think you picked the thing you needed. And, usually there's a level at which, given the choice, your vital force will choose to work at the deepest level relevant to the issue. So this was very obviously very much a power issue and a sacral or a solar plexus chakra issue. And I'm sure that it relates to like the situation you talked about giving you stress in ways that are probably obvious to you. But I think it's just really important really helpful to allow you to go to that deepest level to do the work, because that's how real healing comes about. That's how I'm able to work with people on serious illness and get results. Not by addressing the illness, but by addressing the very deep pattern. I mean, that truly is what works. It's not a woo-woo ideal. It's a thing. So I love what happened there. I thank you so much for opening yourself to this process and sharing it with people, sharing it with whoever is going to end up watching this at whatever time. I think it was really powerful. Wow, nice demonstration. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but see,
Service. I just, I mean, I take whatever opportunity presents itself, and I'm like, oh, there's a way for me to deepen something and understand. Yeah, I'll volunteer.
yeah, that's
I'll volunteer.
a great attitude. Do you have any other reflections about it, and the process, and like what you're feeling? And if you don't have a lot of words right now, that's okay too. I understand.
Yeah, at first I thought that shadow was an entity, was like something, but I realized like, oh, that was just me.
Yeah.
Another aspect that came in from another lifetime that was just like very protective, and dark, and like something very traumatic happened. I don't know. It just was like being dumped over the side of a boat. Like that. I think that was me being dumped over.
I caught that. Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's, and just.
Sharmila, do you know how big you were when you were dumped over the side of a boat? Because I've actually had a past life memory of being dumped out of a boat, but I was very small.
It seemed like I was a big guy.
You're a big guy. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. In my past life, it was infanticide, but this was different. This was another story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking. It was just curious. Now we know something. We both share that we've been dumped out of boats.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Very interesting to be at that, to be witness to that. Like, because it was from the my perspective of that
Mm-hmm.
person, and just like
Yeah.
seeing water, and like I was like on top of the water and it was moving and there was somebody rowing, and then just
Splash.
yeah, splash. I'm like, oh, look at all these all these like ferns and stuff down here. Yeah, it was, I think it seemed, I think it was like I was like, I must have been like paralyzed or something, because there was just like no, there was just no fear. It was just like, okay, this is happening, this is there was just no narrative of emotions. It was just
Yeah.
sort of emotionless. It was just witnessing it, but witnessing as a first person, that happening. So,
Yeah.
and then just the various ways of it seeming like it released, like with the pink, I was like, oh, this is great. And then I was like, oh no, wait, there's something here covered. There was like, it was like a figure hunched over covering it. And then there was this like fairy like tapping, like, hey, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. So yeah, there's different ways to look at this work from a healing perspective, or I mean, I would call it a past life healing, and I do have those pop up. It doesn't happen in every journey, but it does happen in some people's journeys, spontaneous past life healing. And another thing is that I think for there, you know, my perspective on spirit attachments is that it is you. And I know that this is pretty controversial, and I'm also not married to my theory, because spirit attachments, I don't disbelieve in them, and I believe that it mirrors your own susceptibility. So one could look at that and say it's a spirit attachment, but you went a step further, and which I do also, you know, this is how I see it, is it is you protecting, because there's a reason for the spirit attachment. Like nothing happens without meeting us, like a susceptibility or a need in ourselves. So I think that the higher, you know, from one level you could look at it and call it a spirit attachment, and maybe in sort of a deeper level you say, oh, that was me protecting myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that shifting perspective on what is a spirit attachment, but I think there is a, you know, you could call that a release of a spirit attachment, even though it's part of you. So just to point out some of the shamanic correlations there. Yeah, so and then I think what I wanted to just add about it is, like, I want people to notice that you entirely, like, how open that was for you to create something, so that it was really your, I wasn't leading you, in other words. And I didn't know how the healing, I didn't need to know how the healing was going to come about. I just needed to hold the space and keep you in that space. So, and keep trusting the process so that the release could happen. I didn't have to go in there and like pull that thing off. You didn't have to. We didn't have, you know, it was just, it's what wanted to happen when we held the space, from a perspective of unconditional love. I mean, sometimes I do have people kind of talk with the aspects, especially if there's some kind of stuckness, but you weren't experiencing any stuckness. Everything was ready to happen, and
Yeah,
you were ready to allow it.
that's what was so surprising. I was like, oh, okay. And I just bringing it back, bringing the focus back to whatever knew what was happening. And it was, so you would just chime in like, oh, what's happening now? And like all these things would happen. I'm like, okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Where do I start? which was, you know, I wasn't going to bring up the whole boat thing and, or like, you know, seeing the water. And
I'm glad you did, because
I was just like, what the, I was like, I don't know. And I was like, no, just trust the process and just describe everything that's happening.
yeah, and even that you trusted yourself to talk about that bathroom and the, you know, I mean, I think a lot of people would say, you know, might, if they weren't so used to this process, might say, well, you know, come back to the, get your focus back kind of thing, come back. But actually, you were right where you needed to be, and somehow the emotion, that's really where the emotion, you're able to connect with emotion in a way, because something shifted when you talked about that bathroom, and it seems so unimportant, but it was totally like talking about that bathroom allowed the healing. How weird is that? And how elegant, you know?
I know, and it was so funny because yeah, it just the most mundane detail.
Yeah.
And just remembering, you know, like when I had visited my friend in that house at her place, and like going to the, you know, going to the restroom and using her bathroom, and just like, and just I just remember being at a big party before she had moved in, when these other people moved in that I know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, because it was at night, so at least they'd see the light on, but still, it's just like, you know, if someone's, you know, inebriated,
Yeah.
they're
gonna come right in.
right in.
Yeah.
It never happened to me, but yeah, so that was very interesting, the security.
But your sensitivity, it showed your sensitivity, the fact that you were even though it didn't happen to you, you were thinking about it. Other people might use that bathroom and honestly not really think about it. But you had that sensitivity there. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a reason.
They had kids too.
Mm-hmm.
They had kids. And the other thing was, it was a big property, and it's, you know, it's a funky little small town. So people would have like trailers and campers. So there were other people using that bathroom.
Right. Anything could happen.
Yeah. So that's, you know, so it wasn't just a private bathroom for one.
Yeah. No, it was really a beautiful, it was the perfect symbol for something that you needed to shift.
I know.
Yeah.
And then the freedom of no security. I was like, what? Okay. But that, it just really I don't know, it just liberated something, that the energy is just, I could just feel it expanding in my body, and like, wow, this is so, it's liberating to like, oh, there really is no security.
Yeah, you just stepped out of and like an egoic need for security that is illusion anyway, when you think about it. And so I think that will be life-changing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, so after somebody is, so I could have come to you with anything, like,
yes,
you know, usually it's body issue, like you, especially you work with autism spectrum. I know you've worked with autoimmune.
Yeah.
And anything like that could have happened. And then, but then it's not just one, you know, there's like more follow-up, and then there's other.
Oh yeah.
How does that work, and how do the remedies, like what remedy would that, or would I even need a remedy now?
You might, I mean, a lot's going to happen without a remedy, but a remedy can enhance this process and kind of deepen and help root and stabilize it. So there can be continued healing from this point, from where we got to, with the remedy. Just to blow your mind for a second, I mean, what I would do is I would go and study your case, and you would have filled out this big case history with all your, like your whole medical history, and also we would, you know, at some point we would be having a conversation, you know, about what's going on with you physically that you're working with, or it could be an emotional issue. It doesn't have to be physical, or it could be
I think her feed went out. I don't know what happened. We're still live filming.
Okay, we just had a really big, crazy interruption with everything breaking down, and finally we're back on the air, and I'm going to try to splice stuff together. And I'm trying to pick up the thought where we left off, which you were kind of saying, what next? And
Oh, yes. I
yeah,
was asking you because obviously that was, I
like
think, in
how,
order. Yeah, I would think that there would be a more successive, a trajectory of.
actor, yeah,
Yeah.
but definitely there's work, so I mean, when people come to me with really difficult chronic disease like serious autoimmune, I mean, we can be working together for a year, 2 years, or and they'll have improvement. And some people, like I had somebody get over something really huge and over the course of a year and a half, stuff like that. So usually there's a series of journeys, and there's a deepening path, I guess you could say, where we're building and understanding, and we're taking it further. And that's how we heal, like really kind of stubborn physical stuff.
Right.
And
So basically it's usually not, here's a remedy and go on your way. And
no, it's working with with remedies over time. There
right.
should be one constitutional remedy, but there may be other, where this is the stuff, the source resonances for releasing specific traumas, and and more journey work. So it's just about something here. I mean, when I go and look for a remedy for you, I'm going to look for a constitutional remedy, first of all, and because I didn't really get that there's like one trauma. I mean, there was a trauma, but I don't think that's I don't think that past life trauma needs a remedy. I think you just did the healing. Oh, are your earbuds still plugged into your computer?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Good. Yeah. And but when I look at your, like, all the information you gave me and all the physical patterns and stuff, I would also look at this sacred geometry that came up, because I use a lot of jewel remedies, and so you could be talking about a crystal remedy with that color blue.
Wow.
And that shape, like a tetragonal or hexagonal shaped crystal of a very beautiful electric blue, like you described. So I've got this book of colors that, if I saw you in person, I would have you pick out a color. But I'm going to definitely try to nail you down on the shade of blue so that I can understand it better. But that's kind of, I wouldn't just assume that it's a crystal remedy because you talked about sacred geometry, but I would definitely take that into consideration and study, could it be a remedy of that shape and color? Could it be a crystal of a jewel of that shape and color? So I thought that might blow your mind a little bit.
Yeah, it was such a simple shape. It was so interesting. And yeah, that is.
Yeah, well, it's a little tantalizing thing if you ever want more of this, if you want more of this sometime. So I think we need to wrap up because we've gone pretty far over, but I just wanted to, I didn't want it to end as abruptly as where my computer suddenly turned off. Thank you, Mercury retrograde. I think we're being told to wrap up. We both need lunch. So thank you so much, Sharmila. This was a really rich, profound, beautiful experience. And, it really was only possible to happen because you were so willing to open yourself up to it and allow whatever could happen. And it went really deep.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I felt so welcomed in your presence and doing this over, because I've done journey work before, but it's usually in person. And to do this live, recorded on camera, I just felt very safe. And obviously I'm absolutely okay with it being so public, and just you are just like such an incredible, just beyond healer, just everything that you did to keep the focus, to hold the space, just the intuitive guidance. I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And just being able to be so spontaneous with, especially when I couldn't figure out, like, oh, I don't know what I want to work on.
My mind just got blown, and I have chills all over my body, because you know what I just realized?
What?
You called in this specific healing of your own power, because by deciding to, basically by doing this on live on the air, it's like you left the bathroom door open. So you created, when you chose to do this, you called in that healing for your solar plexus chakra.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
the energy is the same. Like, you're like, okay, we're doing it. The door is open.
Yeah, thank you so much for being game too to do this.
Oh my goodness. I'm delighted. I just enjoy this so much, and it was really fun working with you. You're a person that I love and respect so much, and you really were good at explaining with the process, and that's what makes it work. Sorry about the looping. I don't know why my voice is looping right now.
Oh, I don't hear that.
Okay. Hopefully.
That's part of. Yeah, I think that's part of it when you're doing a journey, and or any type of meditative guided visualization work like that. It is important that any little thing that comes up, any thought, that's all part of the process. And to give, especially when you're being witnessed, as you were witnessing, and like, oh, what's going on now? There's just so many things that were popping up, and it was kind of hard to keep track of, like, okay, is that valid? Because like I wasn't going to mention the whole boat thing, like, I don't know if that's anything. And like the bathroom, I was like, why is that coming? I have no idea. Like, I've been
so glad you mentioned it. So glad. I mean, if you hadn't, we still would have had, the healing probably still would have happened, but that's just really helps when you're that open and you just kind of are trusting all of the information. It makes it a lot easier for your guides.
Yeah.
Because they're giving you that stuff. And when you trust what they're giving you, they don't have to work as hard.
Yeah. And you don't have to work as hard.
That's right. Yeah, I like it when people tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So, thank you so
much. Thank you, Sharmila. Much love.
Love.
We'll be in touch. And thank you for everybody who is tuning in the future at any time. We're all in this together. Okay. Namaste. Talk to you later.